biggest mistakes that lawyers make when it comes to their marketing. When I started my marketing, I started with literally less than $100 to spend, and now we spend $900,000 a month when it comes to ads. And we're really scaling. We're getting an 800% ROI, and it's all based on these principles. This might be one of the most important ones, which is not spending enough. Maybe I shouldn't call it spending, not investing enough in marketing.
When I first met you, Sam, I remember you telling me you had this general rule of thumb, and you said, "What's the average value for a client in your law firm?" And it was $2,500. You said, then you should be spending $2,500 a month in your Facebook ad campaign. And I thought you were nuts. $2,500 I'm going to spend in Facebook ads? Are you kidding me? I'm thinking more like I'm going to spend $200 or $300. That's more palatable to me. And it's only when I started increasing the spending, largely as a result of your rule of thumb, that I started to recognize how wise that was.
And Neil, if you would have said your typical client is $10,000, I would have told you to spend $10,000. Taking that approach, starting with the end in mind, as Neil mentioned, how much is a client worth to you? And actually, we have one of my favorite resources that we have inside of Lawyer Club is how to create a marketing budget for your law firm. It's a Google Doc that you could print out where I ask you these questions and I give you examples and I give you explanations. And if you, by filling it out, exactly how to create your marketing budgets that sets you up for success. So I'll give you a short gist of it. Again, number one for the first question is how much is one average client worth to me? Just for example, let's say $5,000. Second question is how many clients do I want in my first 3 months? Not in my first month, not in my second month, but in my first 3 months. With marketing, it usually takes some time for you to see what's going on. The first month is always the most misleading. The algorithm is still getting to know you. You're still really haven't optimized anything. You don't know what's working. Typically, what I've seen, depending on the sources, usually 2 to 3 months. At the 3 month mark, you should be profitable. So if that's the case, we create the goal for the 3 month mark. So just for the example, in my first 3 months, I want 9 clients and being very specific with this number. So let's just say an average of 3 clients per month for the first 3 months. Great. Third question is, how much is that number of clients worth to me in my first 3 months? Well, math, 5,000 times 9 clients is 45,000. Great. Fourth question, how much money am I willing to invest to make $45,000? And the good rule of thumb is if you're looking to grow, you should spend at least 1/3 of the money that you're looking to make in marketing. Some people say 20%, some people say 25%, 30, 33. My good number for setting something up is usually 33. So 1/3, I want to be willing to spend up to 1/3 of how much money I want to make on marketing. So that means math, 45,000 divided by 3 is 15,000. That means, fifth question, in my first 3 months, I'm willing to spend $15,000 to get 9 clients in my first 3 months. Okay. That clarity is everything because it first you start with the goal and you also setting yourself up for success. If you see that your answer is this amount that you can't really invest in it, then you probably should not. Just make sure that you're the right time when you can invest in it because if you're gonna do it correctly. If you do less of that, you don't do it, you stick to it, and you're like changing things around. It's changing the plan midway, and that usually doesn't work. But that I've seen works. It's a proven formula. When I started my marketing, Neil, I started with literally less than $100 to spend. Started with $100, but I was very cutthroat with this analytic. $100 got me this many number of clients, and I continuously increased my ad spend. And now we spend $900,000 a month when it comes to ads. And it's all based on these principles, knowing our numbers, knowing how to scale, where to put our money, tracking it, all that stuff. Again, a lot more to talk about, but it's all based on this formula of knowing how much to spend and sticking with the regiment.
And let's just revisit that for a second. Okay. So for every dollar you put into marketing, your objective was to get $3 back in return.
Correct. Minimum
Right?
$2 profit for every dollar invested.
Every dollar invested. And you started off with $100, the number that you said you're spending now.
Even sounds outrageous to me. Literally almost $1 million a month in
Yeah.
ads. across my four law
So
firms. Yeah.
so you don't start off spending almost a million. You build and build and build, and every time your revenue goes up, that 2x that we were talking about, when your revenue goes up, your marketing budget has to keep pace with that in order to continue to achieve that growth.
Yeah, and if that number doesn't, if your number of how much you spend in marketing doesn't scare you, that means you're not investing enough in marketing if you're
Yeah.
looking to grow.
Now you have to do the work to make sure that what you're producing is effective. If it's not effective, you got to
Sure.
change it to make it more effective. You got to find out what's working, what's not working, double down on what is, and let go of what isn't.
Yeah,
There's
and
no you don't want to send good money out after bad.
yeah, ultimately, I'm not looking to make profit for my law firms. Why? Neil, because I don't want to pay taxes on it. So whatever money that I make, I'm looking to reinvest that back into my business so I could 3x or 4x or 5x it. And I remember in my first couple of years of doing this, I remember really scaling. We are getting an 800% ROI. Things a little bit more tougher than what they were before, but we're still getting a good 3, 4x on our return on investment when it comes to marketing. And the other thing that I share is results lag your actions. So you gotta invest, and then give us some time to see what pans out. But again, if you have the right plan, you have the right goals, you're being cutthroat with knowing what works, what doesn't. You're constantly optimizing and adopting things. And the other thing I always try to do is not to stay stagnant when it comes to our budget. Again, I always ask myself, am I getting at least the ROI that I want? If it is, then I'm always looking to increase that ad spend up until where it doesn't make sense anymore. If I start breaking even or start losing money, then that's when I taper off and limit it. But until then, I'm going to continue spending money. I think Neil, I have a feeling that by next year I'm going to be spending over $1.5 million a month in ads, and I hope I will be, because again, the formula is there. So I just want to stick with the regiment until I really can't anymore.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right. The third lawyer marketing mistake is not focusing on collecting Google reviews. Google reviews, this is one of your equities in your law firm. It's an asset and it's something that compounds over time because the more Google reviews you collect now will help you get more clients in the future. And that compounds. You get 10 Google reviews this month, another 10 Google reviews next month, and you continuously grow from there. And Neil, something you shared earlier in the episode was that image of you and your dog you mentioned.
My wife and the dog.
Yeah, your wife and your dog.
Yeah.
That was genius because that really leads to KLT.
Yep.
When it comes to signing up clients, it's all about KLT, know, like, and trust. Until your prospects know you, like you, and trust you, they'll never hire you. So if you ever have a hard time signing up clients where you talk to a lot of prospects and you're like, what happened? They stopped responding back to me. They didn't follow through. They went and hired somebody else. It's usually because of those three letters. They probably don't know you well enough, don't like you well enough. And for the most part, I would say the trust part is the biggest part of this factor. They don't trust you enough. And guess what? Google reviews is the biggest factor when it comes to trust for sure, liking for sure, and also knowing you. It contributes to all three.
And there's a tendency for us attorneys to say, I want to keep my personal life separate from my professional life. And while that's true, I don't think that there's any reason why you can't share with potential clients who you are as a person. Okay. So I let them know that the two biggest joys in my life are my adult children, and I have pictures of my adult children on my About Us page. I have a picture of my wife and the dog, and that's just it's a crazy great picture. And when I ask people what attracted you to the firm, they often say it's the picture of your wife and the dog. I just love that. Seems like you're somebody that we can work with. And then I went to your Google reviews and I see that people that I know or people that are in similar circumstances to me have found that you serve them well. And so now I trust you. Now I know you a little bit, I like you a little bit, and I trust you a lot. And that's a recipe for getting qualified prospective clients.
Yeah, just assume that your prospects are gonna Google you before they hire you. And it's not like they only see yours and they compare you to someone else who has more reviews. And just based on that, doesn't matter how amazing a lawyer you are and how much you can help them, if you don't have good reviews and you don't have enough reviews and the quality of the reviews aren't good, then you're gonna have a hard time converting. So really hone in on that, focus on that. Good news is for our listeners, if you go to joinlawyerclub.com, join our free community, I share with you the recipe for how to collect a lot of Google reviews, the most effective method I've seen that works for free. All you have to do is go there, look that up inside of our community. It's all there for you. Automated review collection system. It works like a charm, as we mentioned in early episodes. And yeah, and that's how I was able to gather 3,834 4.9 star Google reviews. The system that I created about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, still the same system, literally same exact script, Neil. Nothing has changed at all. Yeah, that's shared with everybody instead of Lawyer Club.
And of course, it goes without saying, do a good job. You want to get a good review, do a good job for the
And
client.
ask. Do a good job and ask.
Yeah.
And address negative reviews professionally and promptly. Good news is ChatGPT can do that really, 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 really well. So just go to, if you have any negative Google reviews, try to address them. That will be able to turn a sour patch into a yummy, delicious patch.
And address them in a positive manner. Don't get into name calling and mudslinging.
Good advice, Neil.